Hi, I'm Darla Beam with DB Leadership. Welcome back. It is week 11 of our 52-week awakening journey, and we're talking about forgiveness. Forgiveness. I had a conversation actually about forgiveness this weekend. Someone was sharing something with me, and I brought up the word forgiveness, and the person had a very visible and energetic reaction to the word forgiveness. Sometimes I think when we forgive, we think that we're giving people permission to hurt us, or we're admitting that we're weak. It couldn't be further from the truth. Forgiveness is about empowerment, your empowerment. Okay? When we forgive, we release energy or feelings or emotions that are trapped inside of us that keep us from moving forward in our lives, from being completely empowered. It actually keeps us in the drama triangle. And what I really want for you is that full and complete empowerment. And I want to tell you a little story. I'm going to go a little rogue today and tell you a story about one of my favorite places, my favorite place on the planet, if I'm being honest, is South Africa, Botswana, that area. This story is about South Africa. And when I first visited there, we spent some time going all over and learning about the history of Africa and hearing about apartheid. And I became very curious as I witnessed people and I interacted with them and they shared their stories and their history. What I really noticed was that there was very little, if any, visible, emotional, energetic reaction in people when they discussed this. We went to Soweto, which is Southwestern Township. It's where the indigenous people, it's where the settlers put the indigenous people, relocated them to during apartheid. So you can imagine people being displaced in these areas that were terrible living conditions could be extremely triggering. And I'll never forget, I said to Phineas, whom we spent a few days with, and I said to Phineas, it's interesting because I've been talking to so many people and they seem happy and they seem, so empowered, even when we're talking about this terrible event in their history. And I'll never forget, Phineas looked at me and he said, it's because we took ownership. It's the way that we ended apartheid. It's this ritual that they went through, the Truth and Reconciliation Commissions that were led by Nelson Mandela, the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and other leaders there. And Phineas went on to explain how that because of this forgiveness process, because they were allowed to stand up to the perpetrators and share their experiences and the impact that had been had upon them, and they were allowed to, they were given space actually to, release these hurts. It made a huge impact, and it empowered the people to take ownership of their communities and their safety. And that's what he explained, is that, they police themselves. Certainly they have police and official police, but the actual citizens take care of themselves. They all work together. The whole system works together. And this empowering way of being actually really shifted how they interact and interface in the world, how they show up in the world, completely empowered. And so I want to share with you just this, the Archbishop Desmond Tutu's book of forgiving, because that's going to be a part of our practice this week. It's one of my favorite books. And ideally, I'd love to have you listen to it on Audible or read the actual book. But your practice is going to be to get yourself to empowerment on something, anywhere where you feel like you need forgiveness. Okay, so here's your practice. It's 4 steps. Number 1 is make a list of people that you might need to forgive. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, include yourself if you feel like you need to include yourself. If you have anything to forgive yourself for in however many decades that you've been on this planet. All right. Number 3 is choose the person or area where you are most triggered. All right. Once you've chosen that area, now here are the 4 steps of forgiveness. This is like 4A through D. All right. The first step is going to be to tell the story. Tell it just as if it's already happened, as if you're witnessing it, watching it as a movie. The next step is to name the hurt. What's really bothering you? What is still trapped inside of you? Number 3, decide if you're going to grant forgiveness. And you may not right now, and that's okay. All right? But write it out. And step number 4 is decide if you're going to renew or release this relationship. And that may mean going to another person and releasing them. It may be writing a letter to someone who's passed on, or it may mean letting the relationship go or creating new agreements in a relationship. It could be any of those things. So that's your practice for this week. I'm really excited to hear how this practice works, and also how forgiveness helps you on your awakening journey. So comment here or reach out to me below. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you next week in week 12. Have an amazing week.